Getting better rest while traveling is rarely at the top of our trip planning priority list, but it probably should be. Sleep tourism is helping people prioritize quality rest while away from home. Hotels are introducing all kinds of sleep-friendly initiatives for road-weary travelers. From on-site workshops to yoga and mindfulness-centered activities, the trend toward restfulness is on the rise. Today, I'm back with sleep expert Dr. Rebecca Robbins and Amanda Al-Masri, who oversees wellness programs for Hilton hotels. We're sharing our top 5 tips to help you get better, more restful sleep while traveling. Let's start with the hotel bed. Dr. Robbins, what is your top tip for sleeping comfortably in a hotel bed?
Ideally, the mattress is supportive. It hasn't been in the hotel for 20 years, so hopefully the hotel has done their part to create a great bed, a great mattress. But when you check in, I do like to think of kind of personalizing it, because often the duvet is really, really tight. And so if you want it to be a little bit looser or you want to fluff up the pillows, do take a moment to personalize your sleep space and make any adjustments that you need. But one of the key things is if you're experiencing any sleep difficulties while you're traveling, and you're not alone, it's very common. Simply get out of bed and try to come back to that hotel bed when you're tired, if you're experiencing any insomnia, as opposed to staying in bed and tossing and turning, which is probably going to only further your challenge.
On that topic, Amanda, if somebody arrives and the bed is too hard or too soft or the pillows aren't right, how would you recommend a traveler address this with the hotel staff?
I think just in general in hotels, I think always conversations with your front desk or housekeeping, right? Generally, there are exchanges that can be made. And I think what Dr. Robbins just mentioned is important, right? Sometimes it's as simple as a lighter top of bed experience, right? If you sleep hot, you want something lighter, and it can't be as light as just a single sheet, or the pillows aren't to your liking. All of these things really are something that should be something that you could swap out. It depends a bit on the brand, as I said, but for the most part, most hotels will do their best to meet your needs. So call. Don't be afraid to ask.
Next question, and this is kind of for all of us. What is your best tip for getting decent sleep on a plane? And I will start. I think it's fly first class and have lots of space to spread out. And if you can't do that, then I just don't know. I'm a terrible plane sleeper. It's just so uncomfortable to even be awake. Sleeping is just extra not fun.
I actually do agree. If you can travel in a higher class of service, that is a great way to ensure you have the space you need. But if you can't, comfortable clothing, noise canceling earbuds, use of an eye mask. I'm a huge proponent of trying to create an environment as much as you can with something like meditation or breath work. And as much as it is really compelling to watch the 4 new release movies on the back of the seat, right? I don't do that. I try and stick to the same type of routine I would have at home on the plane. It's imperfect. I don't drink on the plane. I eat what I would eat at home. I don't eat dessert at 10 p.m. And when they ask me if I want to be woken for meals, if I think it's going to be disruptive, I don't, right? I'd much rather eat when I land. So all of the things that people love about travel maybe are being removed by doing those things. But I think that is my recipe for success personally.
One of the things when you're traveling across time zones in particular, which is probably why you're sleeping on a plane, is to set, if you have a wristwatch that you travel with, set that wristwatch to the new destination time. And then start living, eating, breathing, sleeping all on that new schedule. And ideally, that process is started a little bit before the plane, but if nothing else, when you board, try to really think of yourself on that new time zone. So what that probably means, if you're, for instance, traveling to Europe, you're getting on a plane and you're probably in the middle of the night there. So avoiding dinner, avoiding alcohol, as Amanda mentioned, those are great things to avoid on planes because unfortunately, meals are often full of preservatives. They might be challenging to digest. And then alcohol is also not going to help your ability to fall asleep at altitude. So avoiding some of those things, trying to hydrate before you board so that you can really be in the mindset of boarding and then doing your best to get some sleep. I loved Amanda's comments about keeping your routine at home as consistent as possible and even bringing the elements that you use in your bedtime routine on the plane with you is a fabulous strategy. So that could include eye mask, earplugs, but the eye mask and earplugs and aromatherapy oil or creams that you use at home. And so kind of having maybe a travel version and a one that you use at home, or just throwing them all in your suitcase, the things that you typically use, can again just help you feel a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more able to fall asleep. Also realize that the sleep that you're going to get on the plane is probably not going to be continuous. It might not be restorative, but realizing that lowers the stakes. And so if you're struggling to fall asleep, a really good strategy is to maybe take if you can, a comfortable cross-legged seat on your plane and just say, you know what, sleep isn't happening right now. I'm going to take a couple moments to breathe and relax and focus on that and just be present doing that. And realize that people that are good at mindfulness and meditation actually enter certain stages of sleep during those practices. So if you're being really conscious and really focusing on breath work, it can be restorative as certain stages of sleep. So again, realizing it's not going to be perfect lowers the stakes and helps you work on getting some sleep that you can. And then hopefully when you land, get to your hotel and get back on track as quickly as possible. But do avoid longer naps when you get to your destination. If you fly to Europe, for instance, you land in the morning and then you take a 4-hour nap, you're probably not going to be able to get a good night of sleep that night. So again, coming back to this idea of trying to get on that new time zone as soon as possible, and maybe even prepare in the days leading up to your trip to better facilitate that transition.
Dr. Robbins, what does science tell us about the actual best way to overcome jet lag? Because I feel like I have tried all the old wives' tales and the suggestions, and it always kind of gets me.
Jet lag, the consequences are profound because it is a mismatch between our internal biological rhythms and the pattern of light and darkness and the social schedule at your new destination. If you're flying to Europe, having dinners in the middle of your lunch hour or breakfast when you're typically still in a REM cycle, we're not meant to do the seismic shift of, New York to London and London to Honolulu. So because of that, it is going to be challenging. But the good news is a few things can really help that transition. Number one, prepare in the week before you leave. Each night, move your bedtime and wake time 15 minutes in the direction of the new time zone. And that will ideally give you more than an hour in the direction of your new destination. Avoid a night flight whenever possible. Fly during the day. And when you get to your destination, again, live, work, and play on that new time zone. But a couple of the sleep hygiene recommendations that are good for all of us, but especially good when you're dealing with international travel, is keep caffeine to a minimum. Enjoy one nice cup in the morning if you're a coffee drinker, but not much more than that, just so that it could dampen your ability to transition to this new time zone. Be mindful of alcohol and of late dinners. Try to have as early as possible, or shift your meals as much as possible kind of into the center of the day so they're not having the risk of digestion keeping you awake. Lastly, realize that because of our physiology and the fact that we're really not designed to be able to fly 6 time zones away and adapt perfectly, sleep is likely going to suffer. So when it does, you wake up in the middle of the night, keep the lights low, maybe try to use the bathroom, and come back to bed and try again. Try to fall back asleep. And if it doesn't happen, get out of bed as soon as that little voice comes into your mind. Oh, not again. I can't fall asleep. As soon as that voice comes on, get out of bed and return to bed when you are tired. Now, when we're talking about jet lag and international travel, that could be 15 minutes. It could be 20 minutes. It could be 2 hours, but try not to beat yourself up. Take it in stride and then just say, you know what, I'm going to get back on track as soon as possible tomorrow. And for that reason, it's great to travel with a book or maybe some kind of non-screen reading that you could do if you're experiencing any of that insomnia. The last suggestion is to make ample use of the natural sunlight in your new destination. Going out and getting exposure throughout the course of the day can facilitate that transition to the new time zone.
Jet lag is such a proof point, a compelling proof point of just how important sleep is to us. Because if it's that easy to disrupt your sort of whole system, it really is that important that we get the amount of rest that we need every day. Last question. This is a good one, and I'm taking notes. What is your number one sleep-related travel accessory that you don't leave home without?
My noise canceling headphones and my meditation app, hands down. That is the secret sauce to, trying to get a restful night's sleep the first night, which is what I most struggle with.
Amazing. Dr. Robbins?
I love those. Mine I have this awesome, it's a little bit weighted, so it has a little bit of heft to it, eye mask that really covers everything. There's just a tiny slit for your nose and it's blackout underneath this. And I have two. I have one for home and when I travel. I also use the same brand of earplugs. I'm comfortable. They fit me. They work well for me. I use those whenever I'm struggling at home, and I put those in my suitcase when I travel. I also love bringing my pajamas and a big kind of cozy scarf that can double a little bit as a blanket on the airplane. I do try to pack the creams that I use at night. I really believe there's some research to show that we really are classically conditioning ourselves by practicing bedtime rituals, night in and night out, eliciting the relaxation response. And our senses are intimately involved in that equation.
Dr. Rebecca Robbins and Amanda Al-Masri, thank you for joining us. And thank you to our listeners for being with us. If you're planning a trip, be sure to connect with a AAA travel advisor. Check out AAA.com/travel or visit your local branch. This podcast is a production of Auto Club Enterprises. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and leave us a review. I'm Angie Orth. Thank you for traveling with AAA.